without that work, without a willingness to try, you never know. And sometimes it only takes you to understand that vision and not to be afraid of that extra work, because behind that extra work, the work that you don't want to do, is often hidden the reality of what you wish you had.
Alex, it's a great pleasure to have you as your featured guest today. Thank you so much for making time to share your journey with us.
Pleasure is all mine. I'm very excited for today.
So, I was wondering if you could kick us off and kind of take us far back in your journey and talk about some of your early mentors or earlier influences that you really feel kicked off like your personal development that kind of led you down the path that you've gone down.
How far do we want to go? I'll go really far. When I was a kid, I was always interested in cars and automotive and design, going through all the books, interested in how the cars are made and so on. But then later in life, as you progress and you learn other things, I was quite successful in economics and maths at school, and that led me to win some financial competition. And my dream or plan to study in the field of automotive design changed to or engineering changed to starting the study of finance. So I started to pursue that. I started to learn accounting and economics and investing. That was really exciting to a point where sometimes you go back to those questions where you had before, the plans you had before, and you start to double check yourself. I thought I need to find out if finance is really what I want to do. I tried to join some school organizations and become more active in the projects that were done at the university, just to learn how the industry works, if that's kind of purpose that I want to pursue. Through those experiences, learning outside in on a summer job in a bank, or during the projects in school organizations, I just started to doubt myself more and more, and doubt the reasons why I'm even pursuing that career, why I'm learning about in this field. Luckily, I haven't stopped following the automotive industry, the new car designs, and haven't stopped learning engineering topics. At one point, I just randomly learned about this competition called Formula Student, where you, as a student, can participate in a racing environment, have your own team, build your own car, learn about all the engineering, gain this experience. And that kind of triggered me and said, I need to try that. I need to find a way how one can get into that environment, because that competition showed me that, okay, this is not just some pipe dream, that it's only available for lucky few. It's something that I could really pursue back in Poland. Back in Poland, where studying automotive design or automotive engineering is not really, you can do that, but in my belief was that there are no options, which was completely false. there's always a way. That knowledge of that competition for me as student made me convinced that, okay, I can try that. And with that, I changed my I graduated finance, and then I started studying mechanical engineering. Through the first year of mechanical engineering, I did everything I can to start a Formula student team. Everyone was dismissive at my university. Everyone was, this is a huge challenge. We are not ready. So I said, okay, and I'm still young. I'm still fresh at the university. I'm still learning. So I joined a different student organization just to learn in that direction, just to pursue that dream in that direction. And that was a different competition called Shell Eco Marathon, where we designed a very small electric car for endurance racing, long distance racing. And I tried to push an idea of Formula Student in that student organization. It was challenging. It was challenging because the Formula Student is a huge project, and everyone was just concerned, and everyone was very dedicated to what they were doing right now, and it was hard for them to start something new just because they could. As you go through life, sometimes you have those moments where you can find all the reasons why you shouldn't pursue something, why you shouldn't do something. You can spend all the days to look for the reasons why it's a good idea, why it matters to you, why it makes sense in any way. And you can go back and forth to both of directions, and after months, look at what you've done and realize you actually made no decisions. You're just playing around with the idea of, okay, how am I going to do something? Am I not going to do something? It doesn't matter to me. And it's very important to judge how challenging is actually to try that idea, how challenging is actually, or how much effort it takes to just leave the evaluation process to the side and just try it. Just said, okay, there is something in this. There is something in this project, in this pursuit that I'm having in mind that is deeply ingrained in me, and just said, okay, let's go for it. And that's what I did. And I went for from a student. Start asking through. I tried to look for the path that would enable me to build that. Luckily, I was able to find the professors that were keen to join and that were keen to provide the mentorship that we needed as students to pursue that. I was very lucky to find the dedicated team that from nothing started to build that project, started to learn outside of their regular university responsibilities and do it all for free. Do it all as a dream. Yes, as a dream that they can pursue that automotive reality, that they can gain the experience. I was like very lucky to find those people to really dedicate their lives passion to that. That project helped me actually. Through that project I learned multiple great people, multiple great professors and people from the industry that helped me shape beliefs I have, helped me shape my knowledge, and also helped me to get to the positions I'm in now, working in Wolfsburg, making projects for Volkswagen, as I'm working for Design Surf, which was the company I learned specifically through from a student. So without that projects, without that decisions to just try it, I would never be here. I would never be in the place I'm now.
Thank you very much. I also, during university, I tried to start like a robot competition team at my university, but I found it quite difficult to sort of find those people to work with and motivate people to do it. So unfortunately, it didn't work out for me. But it's very impressive that you managed to get together people who were, passionate about it and willing to work on that with you. A question I have for that is, what do you think, in your perspective, made it so you could gather those people? Like, what did you have a certain way of talking to them that you think maybe inspired them to your goals, or how did you sort of bring in the team necessary for it?
The reason why I started was not just to do the projects, but to gain the knowledge and get the best shot at getting in that industry. That was the project that allow you to be in contact with the industry on a completely different level. And that message I try to communicate to the students, that if we try to pursue that project, whatever we make it or not, we're gonna gain the experience, gain the knowledge that we can't get anywhere else. And we're gonna meet the people that we can't meet anywhere else. And if we wanna, and if that's a dream that be in that industry, to be in whatever field from that industry, in whatever job position in that industry, that's the best way to do it, in my point of view. That's what I try to communicate and let people understand, that this is sort of a golden ticket. It's the best chance you can have, and just trying to do that project is enough. Whether you accomplish it, whether you win the competition or not, you gain so much through work and learning. That's what I communicated to everyone. They seem to share that vision. They seem to share that willingness to take that opportunity.
That's such a good point. Like if you can share your vision and you understand, we are actually just talking about this with a friend last night, like, because sometimes you can't necessarily know that it's going to work out. On this channel, we've even said, like, you can start with a party of one. Like if you are getting benefit out of what you're doing, you will find other people that feel like you feel, if you really drive, that vision. So I really love that you're able to do that. I mean, it's clear that you're able to do that, because I thought it was so interesting to see that, like, you wound up doing fundraising for the team as well. Like you just, you really, and even in the company you're in, that you've branched out and done so many different things. But before we get to that, I know you talked about why you became interested in cars a bit. How did that translate into interest in like modeling, design, and visualization? Is that sort of one and the same in your mind? Or was that sort of like an evolution, like this is my calling with cars and, racing, if you will?
When I was a kid, I thought my first car I'm gonna buy was gonna be definitely is gonna be an electric car. The world is gonna be so advanced that it's gonna be electric car. And I hope maybe flying car, maybe that's gonna happen. Uh, well, obviously we are in a different reality now, and that 20 years of or 25 years was not enough. I was always interested in innovation part of the industry and in the design of how they why the cars look like they are, why they are used the way they are, who designs them, who makes those decisions, and what can you actually how this design how this product can evolve, what can happen to car, what can it mean for a person, for society. I was more on the path of becoming an automotive engineer, but somewhere along the way at design aspect, the way the cars distinguish themselves through design, through they visually communicate their values and visually communicate certain emotions. That was closer to my heart. It was kind of challenging to connect the design part and the engineering part, specifically because was not particularly good in arts, in sketching. So it was always like I can't do that. Like, what am I thinking about? I can't really do that. I can't sketch. I'm not going to become a car designer. And car design is just as a side note, it's like a rock star positions. Like you only have a handful of car designers in the world, and to get to that industry without the knowledge how to sketch is even more ridiculous. So I was studying mechanical engineering at the end. I was studying mechanical engineering, and only because for me a student, only because of that projects, I learned of different way you can participate in a specific process in a field or in a company. That's also a kind of bias or a way of thinking you can have, that you only see your perspective of a certain reality, and there are so many different ways you can participate in a process, participate in a company, participate in a pursuit of some solutions that you're not aware of. And once you get into the river, once you get into the field and learn and meet people, you come across a different opportunities, a different realities, a different way you might be able to contribute with the skills that you have. And thanks to from a student, I was able to discover positions of a class A surfacer, a Stracker, which it's called. And you have to combine design knowledge and engineering knowledge. When you have to combine a middle person between those two different fields to understand why and how something has to look like and what's important, and understanding the engineering part. And I said, that's perfect. That's what I want to do. So but without that experience, without meeting those people, I wouldn't do that. I would be unaware. I would be unaware that that's even a thing.
Absolutely. I think it's always interesting what you can learn from the people you network with and what opportunities that maybe you're, perfectly ripe for that you wouldn't find out without talking to those people about it. I really appreciate you taking us through that. Andrew asked, Alex, can you share some exciting updates about the future of automotive innovation? More power, more thrills, or autonomous driving, or night vision to improve safety? Any of these sorts of things.
That's a very wide topic. Night vision is already like a thing. You already have night vision in autonomous cars. It's just a amount of sensors you use to make cars able to see what's happening in front of them. So night vision is already a thing. It's just not the way people would think of it in a car. Well, autonomous driving is already also a thing. It's just a question when and how far it's going to be adopted, how far it's going to be. We're going to see autonomous fleets in the big cities. Will the autonomous cars just be widely used throughout the whole road network? because there's still some use cases where people just don't use it, don't need it, don't want it. It's also part of well, there's also people that just enjoy driving, like riding horses. They didn't went away. It's people still ride horses. They enjoy that, right? And so that's not going to go away. But if the question is just exploring how the future might look like, well, the most exciting part is what's going to happen with going away from combustion engine. Electrification have its own challenges. How we're going to sustain the power grids? How we're going to sustain the production of all those batteries? Exchanging the whole fleets of cars to electrics, it's a big challenge. So that's going to take a time. Well, we also have development with flying cars and flying taxis. That's exciting, but there's also challenges of how they are going to really behave in the cities. If we want to introduce that part of transportation within the cities above our heads, how people will react when it's actually happened. So it's not only a question, will it happen, but how it will happen. Exactly. Some use cases, just different challenges that we are still not aware of.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a good point. I know when you talk about flying cars, I'm a sci-fi fan and I get a little bit excited, but there's a lot of complications. We're not really a society built for flying cars. So, it will be interesting to see because like you said, there will always be enthusiasts that are really happy, to have something that generations have had and see that whole story behind that. So, yeah, I'll be really interested to see because just because we want to make it doesn't mean that it has practical application yet. But that will have an audience too. Just to have a flying car or have a ride in a flying car, that'd be pretty rad. I digress. Hi there. If you're enjoying this podcast, would you mind leaving us a review, a like, and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform? Thanks so much. That really helps our reach. The Founders Voyage podcast is now proudly sponsored by VidOps. Kane at VidOps has been taking care of our editing since early 2024. He works efficiently, and I'm sure you'll agree that he does a great job. Thank you to VidOps for helping bring this podcast to life. If you want the same great support we're getting for your podcast, or you need help with video, photography, or animation, you can get 10% off at vidops.io using our referral code Voyage. That's vidops.io, referral code Voyage. Now back to the show. I was kind of thinking while you were talking about how I thought it was fun that you said car designers are the rock stars of the design world. I hadn't really thought about if there are tiers in designers, but that totally makes sense to me. Like we think of automobiles that like they're advertised as like sexy and sleek. Honestly, which aspects of automotive design do you kind of handle more in your day to day? And which types of design work do you really enjoy? Like, what is it about designing cars that really appeals to you?
I'm really in a technical design, mostly responsible for the very last phase of design where most of the decisions, how the car looks like, are already made. What we are pursuing to do is to make the vision the designers have for the cars, to make it road legal, to make it work with all the engineering requirements, all the technical aspects, of the safety aspects. There are aspects of, for example, that certain surfaces or radiuses have to be of a certain value, so they cannot be smaller than particular value. This is very technical design, and also when you combine that to make it that it's visually appealing, that it's still every element corresponds to each other, and every line in the car have a certain ratio and relationships to each other, making it that bystander would just look at it and see the flow surfaces and everything works perfectly, and there would be something that is beautiful about the car, everything works, but you can't really put a finger on it, and that's where the last 1% comes from, the last 5% comes from. That's that attention to details that me and the team at the company I work for dedicates the everyday pursuing pursuing that level of attention that makes a product, a design, a lot more desirable and than it would normally be.
Thank you. From what I understand, you've actually worked on quite a lot of different interesting things for Design Surf GmbH, from like some of the marketing stuff, some of the web design stuff. How do you like go about impacting the company in so many different levels?
It started with questions. So when I joined, I talked with the owner, I talked with the team, I tried to analyze where are the challenges and where are the possibilities. Through many conversations, through many preparations, I just started to doing the work. You start to, if you, well, I'm quite a multi-interested person, so I'm not only interested in engineering, and maybe that's part of my financial education or interest in entrepreneurship. So I was able to help develop the brand part and the marketing part of the company. I was able to even start doing that without understanding the situation of the company. It's you kind of try to push your own vision, and that's not the way to do. You have to. I found out that you have to. It's not your company, so you have to understand first where the company goes, what projects are being developed, what projects they want to develop, what's the future they want to pursue, and if you can find yourself and the projects that and your interest within that vision, that's your area of work, and there you can dedicate yourself fully to help and hopefully if you have a good boss or a good owner and a good team working alongside you, they allow you to pursue your version and to help them. It comes from I think it comes from understanding or where the company is in the first place and where they want to be.
Appreciate your answer. You clearly are able to get in with a group of people and kind of work with them and find out where they want to go. And I actually think that maybe you and Spencer have a bit in common, because I think that people that have more, of an engineering background get labeled as not people, if you will. But I think that's wonderful when you're able to kind of take people and you're able to take the technical knowledge, and use those together. And that's so wonderful that you were able to help that your company on so many levels. I'm really impressed by that, looking at their rebranding. So I was wondering, can you take us in a little bit more to the 4 years you spent with your racing team? I think it's really cool that, you led such a large group of students, that were competing with their own race car design. But I also think, like I was saying before, that it's really interesting that you wound up doing the fundraising. So is that normal? Was that sort of an evolution?
When I started the team, there was just lots of doubtful people that you come across of that you need to kind of go through and double check yourself why you're even doing that. At some point, if you know why you're doing something, if you understand your purpose and you have a vision how fulfilling that purpose looks like, and you switch your perspective from not what I have to do, but what have to be done. What have to be done to work coherently with that purpose, to fulfilling that purpose, and to realize the vision that you have. With that perspective, well, I understand that we need to have some sponsors. We need to have a funds to build that car. The university is not gonna provide the funds to build a racing car for by students. That's not happening. You understand that no, this is what you want to do. This is how you want to how your life how you want to your life shape your life, how you want it to look like. And you want that vision of building a car, of competing in a racing competition. You want to be there, you want to be in the industry, you want to hopefully you want to have a life when you are part of this industry. And what is required now to do is to get financing, to get sponsors. And if there are no one else to do it, it's up to me to do it. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. So I need to learn. I need to adjust, and You just sit down, you open up Excel sheet and you fill that contacts list, and then you open up email, you write 1, 2, 10, 100, and you move from there. You go to events, you talk with companies, and you get 1,000 here, 1,000 there, and someday you write an email to Nvidia, and they write you back and they provide you a sponsorship. And without that work, without a willingness to try, you never know. And sometimes it only takes you to understand that vision and not to be afraid of that extra work, because behind that extra work, the work that you don't want to do, is often hidden the reality of that you wish you had.
Very well said. I think that may end up being the starting quote for this episode. Behind the work you don't want to do often sits the reality you want to have. I love that. Thank you very much. You've obviously got, a key interest that you focus on for a lot of your time, but you've also done quite a variety of things. Is there any particular problem or project that you haven't touched on yet that you at some point in the future like to get your time to delve into and solve?
That's a good question. And yes, there is. I had the pleasure of being part of MIT Bootcamp, and the reason why was exactly because of that entrepreneurship spirit within me and ideas I want to develop. The idea that we try to pursue during the bootcamp, which was DreamGo. It was a matching service between an industry professionals and the recruiters that would like to get to that industry. And with that field of career development, of maybe not even career development, but really finding the right people for the right position, or helping the people to fulfill their dream or fulfill their passion and mission. That's what I personally was struggling through my whole year and my whole life. When I was young, I was dreaming about automotive industry, but I just didn't see it happen and being able to happen. I just didn't see the possibilities. That's why it took me so long to figure out the ways to and some luck to learn about all those opportunities, and how great it would be if there was a place or a company that would proactively help solve that mismatch, to connect people to the positions and projects and the whys, if someone cynic would say, that they really care about. The world at the moment is really reactive. It's often race to the bottom, race for profits, race for performance, and then after all those questions, along the somewhere people ask, okay, the culture is important. The reasons why people work here is important, and then you structuralize those values in the company that matters to them. It's sort of a wrong way around, and I see some great companies do it very nicely, that they speak with their values firstly, they speak with their purpose firstly, and it's, I bet, definitely a wonderful place to be. But general industry is unfortunately really not structured like now, that way now. It's mostly, where can I get the best offer, who's hiring. It's, for me, such a waste of resources and time. I would love to see a world where it's a more proactive process, where you ask yourself what's you're actually passionate about, and you are able to find your way to that passion, to that project that you would be a best fit. And the companies that want to implement that change in the world, they find the people to implement that change and that are passionate about that as well. And that's one thing that I have in mind that I haven't started yet.
I love that idea. I mean, there's so many different ways to tackle it. I know that even LinkedIn sort of like tries a little bit with suggestions, but I think really getting to know a person on a deeper level, I think it's very possible. I think that it also has to do with people's definition of what their life should look like, but well, what success should look like too. And actually, that's a question that we often ask. How do you define success for yourself? Is it different in your personal life versus your professional life, or do you feel like it's kind of become one and the same?
That's a very good question. That's actually a question that we asking within our company now. how we can define how success looks like for us and now in 20 years. I would say it's, or for me at least, and it comes from understanding your purpose, being able to articulate a vision when that purpose is fulfilled. I would consider myself successful if I can strive to, if I'm striving to pursue that purpose, to do the things the way I want to do, the things that are important to me outside of just financial reasons every day, and to strive to build a vision for myself and for a certain reality of the world that is deeply valuable to me. If I'm able to do that every day, that's to me success.
That's excellent. I think it's good to have that clarity of what your success is, and I think it's smart to in your company to be going back through that. Now, sort of a counter question to the last one, I want to ask about work-life balance. How do you go about controlling your time in such a way that you're able to achieve the things you want to achieve and do and work on all the interesting things you want to work on, but also, get that life side of it, whether that means family, whether that means hobbies, whatever that is.
I don't think I'm the right person to answer that question. I wouldn't say I have work-life balance. I Work is a big part of my life. Sometimes it's very challenging, but that's why I'm so ingrained in the question of being clear of why I'm even doing things that I'm doing, and not just doing them for the money. So if I am pursuing something that's close to me, then it's much easier to find that balance because you're not just working, you're not spending extra 1 or 2 hours at the office because you need to do the project. No, you're spending 1 or 2 extra hours in the office because you're pursuing a certain reality. There's a deeper meaning with that. But obviously, there is a family, there's friends, you have to have some me time, some time to get your brain off a little bit. I found it in but still work. Like I enjoy exercising, so I do that. But also, as I do for fun, is I try to find the projects that I do for fun. So previously that was photographing, but I was also connected to automotive industry. So I was still doing photographs of cars, and I use that for certain projects. So or I learned how to do visualizations, and now I'm doing visualizations at work. So parts of the fun process of parts of the balance that I was finding was also ingrained with the vision and the purpose that I had, and that kind of helps me integrate all of those aspects of my life. If I'm in a situation when I'm trying to find a balance, something is not right. Somewhere I'm missing some understanding of why I'm doing something. Either the work that I'm doing or the thing that takes a lot of my time is not important and I should stop. My understanding of it is not there yet. So I'm trying to work on the reasons first to get the priorities in order, and to then culture my environment in a way that I can sustain all of it. Usually the problem is in that I'm doing something that I shouldn't be doing. That's not contributing to the future that I want to live. That's where usually the burnout and the challenges come from.
That's such a good way of articulating it too. Like if you're asking yourself, if you can tell that you need to ask yourself to have better work-life balance, then like something has been out of whack. Because I agree with you. If you have things in your life that are sort of adjacent to your main passion, then they kind of feed into that. But you've also kind of, in my mind, learned how to do the ideal, which is like make your work fun or do what you really love. So that passion trickles outside that. I think I finally understand for myself what you're talking about. So I appreciate that articulation of that. I was honestly wondering because you mentioned the boot camp and you're from a class before me. I think the class just before me. I was wondering what we usually ask people what prompted their interest in attending. So if you remember that, feel free to share that. But have you found any of the tools from the disciplined entrepreneurship framework or, something that you picked up at boot camp? has that helped you recently that you recall?
Well, first of all, the bootcamp helped me understand the values and the vision of the way you think about business and entrepreneurship, of solving the issues of a customer. It helped me justify that point of view, because previously when I was learning, I was, oh, okay, that's a theory, or that's the one way to do it. Bootcamp and people there helped me understand that it is the way to do it, very healthy way to do it, when you focus on problems, when you, the framework disciplinary entrepreneurship gives you is, it helps to gives you clarity and certain points that you can uh, go to and just reevaluate of your problems or your business perspective. Most of all, for me personally, it was a change of or justification of a worldview that I was learning about, and seeing the like-minded people and successful people in the field put a stamp on it, and okay, yeah, this is correct. And I was really reassuring to have, because previously I was really double checking myself if that's all not just unnecessary things to consider yourself with. Discipline and entrepreneurship help me often to create a better analysis of the business that I'm with now. So because sometimes I just go to the book and what am I missing? What have I not think about? What's the total addressable market right now? Like, why am I not thinking about this? So it helps me to just sometimes go through and just remind myself about the concepts that are quite complex. But it's really good to consider when you making those business decisions, or you analyze the certain projects that you want to start.
Absolutely. I've actually got the book for it right here next to me. So I know what you mean when you go back through it and want to, refresh your memory, but also use it to find maybe where you're missing out on things. I've definitely had that experience. So the last question we'd like to finish off with is we kind of just call it the words of wisdom question. The idea is, and feel free to interpret it however it makes sense to you, but do you have any words of wisdom or experience or something that you want to share with us today?
I would say sometimes the problem is not that you aim too high, but that you aim too low and you get what you want. Most people are unaware of their potential. Are scared of pursuing a certain reality that's really important to them. They spend days of finding reasons why not to pursue something because they feel that resistance. There's the book The Art of War by Stephen Pressfield, I think. He talks about resistance for designers and arts field. That's mostly the case where when you feel a resistance, it's kind of an indication that tells you that something is really important for you to pursue. Behind that resistance, by overcoming the resistance, lays a reality that you want to have. That resistance is somehow guarding that reality from you, guarding it from people who who shouldn't get that, I would say. If you just try, if you try to overcome that resistance, you're more often than not are able to do that. And the resistance itself is just like a trigger inside your mind that just blocks you from whatever reason, from whatever biases that you learn throughout your life. And learning to aim a little bit higher, look at what could possibly perfect vision for me in the future, what would like to strive for, and aim for that. You're more often than not, if you don't judge yourself, you're more often than not are able to get on the path to fulfill that vision in a ways that you are not aware of now. Usually that's the way, because aim higher and try. Don't try to find reasons why you shouldn't do something, and just be okay with whatever you have now.
I really appreciate what you articulated about, the problem isn't always that we aim too high, it's that we aim too low and we get exactly what we wanted to. We get exactly what we expected. So thank you so much for taking so much time with us today, for just sharing so many layers of your journey. I'm really glad to have become acquainted with you too. And I can see that you have fantastic things ahead. So definitely keep us posted, on your recent developments, how we can support you and who you might like to connect with in this community, because that's kind of the beauty of it, is that it keeps growing and flourishing. Thank you, everyone else who joined us today. We always appreciate you bringing your perspective and energy to these discussions. And Spencer and I and the team behind Founders Voyage feel really fortunate to be part of this community with you and for the opportunity to bring you this cooperative learning experience each week. We'd love to hear your nominations for future Saturday interview guests as well as topical conversations. Keep an eye on the announcements channel for details about following weeks. And in the meantime, definitely also check out the podcast. Thanks so much again, Alex.
It's been a pleasure. I'm really grateful to have had a chance to talk with both of you today, and I'm really that's really great to see what you are trying to accomplish here, and really great to hear some of the conversation you had in the previous episodes, and I'm looking forward to the next ones.
Thank you so much. It was an absolute pleasure talking with you.
Yeah, have a great rest of your weekend. We'll talk to you soon.
You too. Thank you.
You've just finished another episode of Founders Voyage, the podcast for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs. The team at Founders Voyage wants to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We hope you enjoyed your time with us, and if so, please share this with someone else who might enjoy this podcast. You can also support us by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and by donating to our Patreon. Outro music today is Something for Nothing by Reverend Peyton's Big Damn Band.